A guten Erev Shabbos, everybody. Ephraim Schwartz calling you here from my office in Carmi on an incredible, another amazing week. You really have to look at my weekly email this week. Just a great story and exciting stuff. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Rabbi Schwartz at yahoo.com. Send me an email and I will subscribe you. And before I tell you guys a great story, a great Dvar Torah, I want to thank Nisanel and Nancy Yachnis of sponsoring this week's email in honor of the marriage recently of their son, Aaron Shalom, to Nechama from Chicago. They're living there. They should build a Bayis Neman B'Yisrael, Amir Tzah Hashem, L'Shem Tiferes. And Nisanel and Nancy, you guys should come back here to Eretz Yisrael soon, and I'll see you guys hopefully on a great tour as everybody's coming back, Baruch Hashem. And we come to Parshas Ki Sisa, and an incredible parsha about the uplifting of the Jewish people that starts with the half shekel, and then it drops all the way down to the bottom of the bottom with the sin of the golden calf, with Moshe Rabbeinu going up to Shamayim. And then we have the revelation of the Yud Gimel Midos, the 13 meters of Rachamim, as Moshe Rabbeinu gets atonement for the Jewish people. And at the end of that story, Moshe asks to see Hashem, and Hashem says he has a covenant that he makes with the Jewish people. The bris is Vayomer, and Hashem says, Hine Anochi Koreis bris. Behold, I'm going to go ahead and to make a covenant. Neged kol amcha, connect all of the Jewish people. Esen niflaos, I will do wonders asher lo nivru b'chol haaretz u'b'chol hagoyim. I will perform miracles like that has never been created beforehand in the entire land, in all of the nations. V'ra kol ha'am asher ata b'kirbo, and the entire nation that will see with you inside of it. Es maaseh Hashem, the work of Hashem, ki norahu, how awesome it is, asher ani osei imach, that I'm doing with you. Now I ask you, and it's not just my question, it's the Ramban's question, what is the greatest miracle that has ever been done for the Jewish people? Truth of the matter is, if you asked me, I think most people would say, if I ask you, tell me historically what's the greatest miracle that's ever been done to the Jewish people, I think most people would probably say the splitting of the Red Sea. I mean, that's just mind-blowing. Or maybe you want to get more of that. The greatest miracle that Hashem himself came down and revealed himself to mankind, the 10 Commandments. I mean, what a movie, right? It's just, there are so many, the plagues in Mitzrayim. What is the greatest, but all of that happened beforehand. Meaning Hashem is telling Moshe Rabbeinu now, after the golden calf, that there's going to be a miracle that knocks all of these out, that has never been seen, that everybody's going to know about. And that's what I'm going to show you. And that's the covenant that you're going to find. What is that miracle? The greatest miracle of all time. And to tell you that, I'm going to share with you a story. I don't take non-Jews on tours of mine. Not necessarily that I have anything against non-Jews. They're wonderful people. I have plenty of good friends that are Goyim, Gentiles, as they say. But to a large degree, my enthusiasm, my inspiration comes from sharing the land of our people with our people. And that's what I like to do. And Baruch Hashem, I'm able to do that. But there are some times that I have had exceptions. And one of them was I got a phone call from a travel agent about this young man that was coming back from Chicago, 40 years old, never had left Eretz Yisrael before. And he is, never left America before, and he was a day trader. And for his 40th birthday, he was going to celebrate by going for the first time out of America, and he decided he's going to come to the Holy Land. He got my name from some person he did business with, and he wanted 10 days in Israel, just me and this wonderful, non-Jewish, African-American gentleman. And, despite my previous principles about sharing the land with our people, but you don't pass up a 10-day gig. That's a lot, full price. And I decided that we would go ahead and and we do it. And so it was just me and Nate alone for 10 days straight. And we literally did from the top of the country, from the Golan Heights to Metula to Tel Dan, all the way down through Jerusalem, down to Eilat. Now, this was a little bit of a challenge for me because, I have my stories, I have my jokes, I have my lifetime. And but that's good for like 2-3 days, or you have other families, you have other people there that you can sort of spread it out with. But pretty much after a few days with Neonate, I had gone through all my jokes, all my stories. By the end, I was just telling him Divrei Torah. I mean, we're driving down the last 4 hours, Divrei Torah, and it was definitely an experience of a lifetime. And when we went and we did and we saw everything that we can in this country. Now, what would you say was the most amazing thing that he saw together with me that just blew his mind out of everything? And I'll tell you a little secret, it wasn't even on my itinerary. So this is a good question, because you have to think, it's got to be something that Rabbi Schwartz would not put on an itinerary in Israel. And at the same time, it was the most mind-blowing thing that he ever saw. Can you figure it out? Okay, well, there's no time here. We've got to get under 10 minutes on this video. That's my weekly goal. So let's see if we can do this. I'll share it with you. It was the last day of our tour together. We were in Jerusalem. I was supposed to take him to the airport that evening. We were doing some sites in Jerusalem that we hadn't covered yet. And then my wife, Elisa, calls me up and says, can you do me a favor? Can you pick up something from me in Geula, in Mea Shearim? And I told him, I said, Nate, let's go. I just got to go out. I want to show you something last. Got to go pick up something for my wife. And all of a sudden, we pull down Mea Shearim, and he goes, whoa, stop the car. I'm like, what? Stop. And I stopped the car. And he goes, what did you just do? I go, what do you mean, what did I just do? He goes, is this for real? I mean, it's like a time warp. I've never seen anything like this in my life, right? They really dress this way, and this way they live, and this way they look. Do you mind? Can I take out and get pictures? And this is so cool, and this is so awesome. And he's just flipping out because he felt like I took him back 300 years. And he had never seen Jews dressed like this, walking like this, talking like this in his life. And it was mind-blowing to him. I guess this was before Stiesel came out, right? But this was mind-blowing. It actually was. But, and he's just taking pictures, and he goes, this is the coolest thing. I can't believe that you saved the best for last, Rabbi Schwartz. And I said, of course I did. That's the way I work. But anyways, but, we take it for granted to a large degree. The Ramban asks this question. He says, what is it? And you know what the secret is? The answer is, V'niflinu, the greatest miracle of the Jewish people is that we're still around. Rashi says, you know what Rashi says? What is the greatest miracle? If you look at that Rashi, you don't really take it you don't appreciate it. Esen niflaos. I will make something different. And Rashi says, V'niflinu, shtiyem muvdolim bezu mikol ha'umos. That the Jewish people will remain separate, different from all the nations of the world. No matter what we do. Bilam sees the Jewish people, says, Hein am levadad yishkon. And he explains, the Mefarshim explain, if we're alone, if we're separate, yishkon, then Hashem's presence will rest on us. Ubagoyim lo yizchashav. However, if we're intermediate and we're assimilated, we're trying to mingle in, guess what? It's not going to happen. It's not going to work. It's not going to be chashuv at all. We're never going to make it. And the truth of the matter is, that Rabbi Yaakov Emden in his famous work says, there is no greater miracle and the proof that Hashem exists than the fact that the Jewish nation is still around today. That we have our mitzvahs, we have our Torah, we have our Shabbos, that we haven't assimilated no matter what took place. I don't know if I said this story here or not, but I remember I had this man, Doron, who's a Shemitah farmer out in the Jordan Valley, and he has date trees. And he was telling me his story. He said he came, that he was born in France. He went to a traditional school over there. And his name was Doron, but then later on, his parents were not really religious, and they sent him to public school. Everybody goes to him, what's your name? What's your name? He goes, Doron. Doron, what sort of name is that in the French, they say. He says, I'm Jewish. And all of a sudden, everybody knew that he was Jewish, and everybody's telling him, you're a nice guy, but, Jews, they're controlling, Jews are this, Jews are in Palestinian, and knock him out. And he always got this sense. And then he remembers he was one time in a class, and this history teacher tells him, there are rules of science, there are rules of mathematics, there are rules of grammar. He goes, but there are also rules of history. And one of the rules of history is that nations will rise up and they will fall. They'll conquer the world and they will spread out and they will spread their culture, and then another nation will come up and destroy them. And that is true throughout history. It's a law of history, just like it's a law of mathematics and science and gravity and everything else. But there's one exception to that law, as there are to many rules in life, right? The exception is, the teacher says, the Jewish people, because it doesn't make any sense that they're still around. They don't have a country, they don't have a land, they don't have an army, they have nothing. But yet the Jewish people still exist. They are the exception, the anomaly to the rules and the laws of history. He goes, that struck a bullet in his heart. I'm Jewish. The only reason why I know I'm Jewish is because I have hundreds of generations before me that have said, we will go ahead and pass on that tradition. We will not assimilate. We will not throw off our yarmulkes. We will keep the Torah. We will follow. He goes, and I'm at this juncture in roads. And what am I going to do? Throw that away? Just become a agriculturalist, whatever they call them? No. He said, I'm going to be a proud Jew. I'm going to keep that. And he goes, and I got on a plane as soon as I finished my degree. For the first time in my life, I put on a yarmulke and I moved to Eretz Yisrael, because this is the only place where I can go ahead and be a proud Jew, where I can be where Hashem, in my country, where Hashem has promised me, and I can go ahead and practice. Because I wasn't even Shomer Shabbos at the point in time. But I knew that that's where I wanted to be, and that's what I was going to do. That's Viniflinu. That is the greatest wonder. That is the greatest miracle Hashem tells our people, right? To be able to go ahead and to see Jews still dressed, still wearing the yarmulke, the payas, the traditions, the cholent. To keep that after so long, to keep the Torah. Hashem tells us, you'll fall. You'll go to the Egel. You'll worship. But at the end of the day, I promise you, I will always make wonders that all of the nations of the world will know that. The Nate Carters that are out there, the science professors in France, they will all see, and they will see that Am Asher Ani B'Kirbo, that I am the nation in them. Baruch Hashem, Klal Yisrael is here, and it's a lesson in Parshas Kisisa, and it's a lesson as we approach closer and closer Purim, when Haman wanted to wipe us off the face of the earth, and we celebrate, we get up, and we dress up, and we put up costumes, but we're going to go ahead and show that no matter what the costume is, the true Jew will never, never assimilate, will always be there. What an incredible Vart. What an incredible idea. Have an amazing Shabbos. Subscribe to the email and sponsor these things. You can also join in the mitzvah of spreading Torah. Have an amazing Shabbos.